We're back, and boy, do I have a tip for you. This is chapter 12 in the ongoing project of putting a transverse LS4 into a 1967 Corvair. The exhaust tip is super important because it's the only thing that declares this car isn't a Tesla. Now, I know what you're thinking, that it's kind of goofy mounting an exhaust tip first, but I have my reasons. For me, fabrication usually boils down to point A to point B. Like a bridge, you build the foundation on each side first. So I'd like to make the exhaust tip come out of the center of this. And instead of round, I think it'd be more interesting if it was an oval shaped. These are my two oval shapes. It's 2¼ by 6 is the first one. And if that's too small, this is 2¼ by 6½. So I'll cut these sections of the vents out and make it look like it belongs there. I didn't have this piece. It didn't come with the car. So I made a call to Clark's Corvair, and they had a new old stock piece, so I had to have that to know where to locate this tip. Using 2-inch 1/8 wall tubing, I set off to make a mandrel to forge the oval shape. Not knowing what the perfect angle should be for the fork, I set the tubing notcher at its maximum of 50 degrees, though it still seems a little shallow. Stainless steel is very malleable with great elongation properties. It's why kitchen sinks can be formed with complex geometric shapes without tearing or splitting. For my application, the tubing starts at 3½ inches, which is the size of the exhaust pipe. I'm kind of shooting from the hip as far as knowing how this is all going to work out, but the plan is first to see how wide I can stretch the 3½ inch tubing. Using this basic spreader, it looks like the tube can be spread to 5 inches, or should I say only to 5 inches. It probably could be spread further, but I don't know what kind of problems will come up, and anyway, 5 inches will work just fine. After determining 5 inches was going to be the final spread, the fork was surgically cut down to that dimension. I feel like I'm cutting corners here, trying to get the job done correctly versus getting it done today. Everything is looking good. I may have this knocked out in an hour or so. What should I tackle next? The rear left turn signal isn't working. Maybe I'll tend to that. If you're wondering why I didn't just buy an exhaust tip, I'll have you know I tried. I image searched oval tips to death. Twice. There's nothing really I could use. What's the point in buying a tip, cut it up, modify it, and weld it up anyway? You know, this thing seems to be pressing super easy. Rats. The tube caved in. My die failed. Now how am I going to get that thing out? Now it's stuck in there. I managed to pound the caved-in die out and make a new die called the Forge Master 2. As I'm sitting here doing voiceovers, I keep hearing woo, 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 woo. Or sometimes, woohoo, woohoo. I'm no owl expert, but when I looked out the window and up in the tree, I saw an owl. And after a little research, turns out that it's a great horned owl. And I swear, it can turn its head clean around like Linda Blair. More cave-ins. Looks like it sucked its cheeks in. I'm going to regroup and come back in the morning. So after thinking about it last night, I said, let's just go the extra one step and patch in these parts here and give it another try. So it keeps getting more complicated, but I'm almost there. I just got to take out these. I like to sink it a little bit lower in here. Maybe we can make it work. This cap I welded on to keep this round. And then I had it stuck in there, so I had to drill holes so I could punch it through the other way. It's turned into quite a project. So I'm a little worried about it splitting. And ruining the whole thing, we'll see. I don't know how much pressure I'm using, but it's using at least half of this press. It's a 20-ton press. So I think there's 10 tons on it when I get on this part here. It seems to be straighter. Here would have been a really good time to stop. As you can see, the sides are starting to get goofy. Watch this going backwards and forwards. Oh well, what's done is done. I'll see what happens when I do this. Not really, much of anything. I knew my China Freight professional body tool kit would come in handy for something. The instructions say to hit it lightly, but super fast. I haven't used this tool on it yet. Let's see what happens. This might help. It's a flap wheel on a buffer motor that spins way too fast. More or less satisfied with the body work, it's time to cut the end cap off. I'm pretty sure this sander will go from the tip of the fingernail to the first joint in 1.5 seconds. I forgot to push the camera button, but this is the bezel I made. Body saws are convenient, but are super hard to steer as they seem to have other ideas on where they want to cut. I'm not sure, but maybe a stone bit would work better than this carbide bit, as the carbide tends to grab. A bigger diameter bit would have helped though. This 2-inch flap wheel will smooth it out. I forgot to push the camera button again, but I think you see what I did here. This is a small manual tubing bender. The 1/2-inch by 0.83 wall stainless steel will be used for the hanger. Finding the center of this piece. I was nervous about sending the hole saw down this U-shaped bracket. It seemed like the saw might catch or grab the workpiece and make an irreparable mess. So I plunged the saw super slow. I think it took a good 5 minutes to make this cut. You might have noticed that the silicone rubber isolator will be in compression when it supports the exhaust. This is the best way to use these kinds of isolators. This next series of video is about making the mount that welds to the chassis of the car. In other news, the Synchro for 5th gear in my Subaru-powered VW Bug is completely shot, so it will be coming apart. Not exactly sure why I burned out so fast, but hopefully I'll find out. If you're not sure of this bug I talk about, check out my videos. The car is a riot. A little more welding, some spray primer, and we're done. If you have any questions, I'm pretty good about responding. Oh, and thanks for watching. We've come full circle. Lots more to build on this car, but you know, I can hardly wait to finally drive it